All right, let's dive right into Auhome's 2026 AI roadmap from screens to robots. Today, we're cracking open a really fascinating internal document from January 2026. We're looking at the meeting minutes from a company called Auhome, and they are mapping out this bold, totally grassroots approach to getting artificial intelligence and, get this, eventually actual physical robots right into their daily workspace. Now, we aren't talking about some multi-billion-dollar tech giant in Silicon Valley here. No. This is a practical, super grounded team that's charting their own immediate future and literally taking control of their own technological evolution.
So, what's the core philosophy driving this whole shift? It's incredibly simple, but honestly, really profound. When leadership was asked, why go so early and so aggressively into AI and robotics, their answer was just because we will have many lessons. They aren't just out there chasing immediate bottom-line operational efficiency. They are deliberately stepping into the unknown. The whole point is to proactively learn, to stumble a bit, adapt, and build real team resilience before this crazy level of technology just becomes a mandatory standard everywhere else.
In that foundational strategy, it basically relies on one ultimate goal: learning to manage and communicate with AI. The meeting minutes lay out a super clear logical progression here. You see, before anyone on a team can successfully manage AI in, say, a really complex business context, they first have to figure out how to effectively prompt and communicate with it just on a day-to-day basis. It's really about building a shared language and establishing a kind of rhythm with the tech first, way before you try to seamlessly integrate it into major client projects.
Okay, so how exactly are they pulling this off? Well, it breaks down into a highly practical, three-step technical rollout. Step 1, they're leveraging their massive repository of team communication data straight from Telegram to give the LLM deep company-specific context. Then Step 2 involves setting up a dedicated shared Mac Mini literally right in the middle of the office. And Step 3, this is where the real magic happens. They're utilizing that local hardware and the contextual data to create personalized agentic AI for everyone on the team. It takes this incredibly abstract, futuristic concept and just completely grounds it in the practical workflows the team is already using every single day.
Of course, an ambitious plan like that absolutely needs clear leadership. You really need a contrast of roles to drive a vision from paper to reality. On one side, we've got Ben, who's playing the role of the innovator. His job is to constantly scan the horizon, keep the team updated on new trends, and conceptualize the big picture of where Auhome actually needs to go. On the flip side is Dane, the technical executor. Dane is the boots-on-the-ground engineer. He's the one securing the local Mac Mini, building the API integrations for those Telegram-connected AI bots, and iterating on the final products. It is the classic, and absolutely essential, pairing of the visionary and the builder.
Now, if you're sitting there thinking, well, this sounds insanely complex for a standard team to pull off, honestly, don't worry. During the meeting, Don explicitly reassures everyone that creating these custom tools isn't actually all that difficult. Why? Because of accessible innovation. They don't have to code a neural network from scratch or, train a massive foundational model. They are utilizing existing, powerful AI models to build their custom tools. They just have to learn how to expertly steer and fine-tune the models that are already sitting right there on the market.
And here's the kicker. That accessibility isn't just technical, it's financial. The initial investment is projected to be just tens of millions of Vietnamese dong. Just to put that into perspective for the business world, that is a surprisingly low barrier to entry. It proves a really vital point for modern businesses. Taking a massive technological leap into the AI space doesn't actually require this massive, intimidating corporate budget. What it requires is initiative, some shared hardware, and a genuine willingness to experiment with the tools you have available.
But listen, Auhome isn't stopping at software. Once the team gets used to their customized desktop AI, the roadmap takes a sudden, really fascinating turn. The next level is moving from software on a screen to actual physical hardware in the office. Yeah, they want to literally pull the AI out of the digital realm, completely out of the Mac Mini, and put it right next to them in the physical workspace.
And the magic number for this next phase? 6. The company's initial target, which is clearly stated right here on these minutes, is to purchase 6 physical robots to bring into the office. The explicit purpose here isn't to replace humans, not at all. It's to drastically accelerate the team's familiarity with the technology. Just having a physical moving entity right there in the room changes the dynamic entirely. It makes the integration of AI feel incredibly tangible.
This actually leads us to what is arguably the most fascinating psychological aspect of their entire roadmap. The leadership anticipates that once the personalized AI is up and running, and especially when it shifts to a proactive agentic AI that initiates communication and executes tasks autonomously instead of just waiting for basic prompts, something completely unique is going to happen. They expect team members to develop a direct emotional connection with the AI. It totally shifts from being just a software tool you command to an entity you interact, converse, and collaborate with on a much more human level.
All right, let's move on to the next section, the human reaction, transitioning from theory to reality.
We start with this wonderfully grounding reaction from team member On. Her immediate feedback upon hearing this whole roadmap was simply certain, feasible. I mean, there was no panic, no sci-fi doomsday dread about robots taking over the office, just absolute certainty and a really strong belief in the practical feasibility of the roadmap that Ben and Don laid out. It just shows a company culture that is remarkably primed and open to change.
Then we have this incredibly insightful observation from Fook. He noted, before it was theoretical, but now that it's practical, everyone will have a different perspective. I feel like this brilliantly captures the exact threshold Auhome is crossing right now. I mean, we all read about AI in the news, right? But that's just theory. Having your own personalized agent built from your own Telegram data running on the Office Mac Mini, that hands-on practice is what completely transforms the team's understanding of what is actually possible.
And I absolutely love this reaction from Hearn. While everyone else was thinking about their daily workflow, she had this completely curious, big-picture, business-minded takeaway. She called the plan interesting, and then immediately started questioning what physical materials the robots would even be made of. She noted that in the future, the companies supplying those materials are going to be highly successful. Talk about forward thinking. She's already looking past the hardware in their office to the entire global supply chain behind it.
Finally, we conclude the team's feedback with Dan, the technical executor himself. He summed up the overall vibe by saying, it is feasible, it will be incredibly helpful in the future, and ultimately, everyone is going to say wow. He perfectly captures the genuine enthusiasm and that ultimate wow factor that this level of technological integration is expected to deliver to the everyday office environment.
So the Auhome team isn't just sitting around waiting for the future to happen to them. They are actively building a lab to test it out today, from custom agentic bots all the way to 6 physical robots, just so they can learn the lessons first. Which leaves us with a pretty vital question for you to ponder. How is your team preparing for the emotional and practical realities of AI and robotics in the workplace? The technology is here, the models are highly accessible, and the lessons are just waiting to be learned. Are you ready to be wowed? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep exploring.